Aloha. So, big explanation for today. There's not enough to fit in a recap video. However, I will go over just the simple basics of it. Whenever we're in a key like G major would have G major, A minor, B, C major, D major, E minor. We would have F sharp diminished. What is F sharp diminished? Oh, sorry about that. F sharp diminished, and then back to G. So when we're playing around with these notes, if I wanted to go from G major, let's say to C, to 4, 1 to 4, well, if I know that I'm going to C, I could go C, D, E, F, G, and play a G7. Well, that G7 works, but a G major doesn't work as a secondary dominant because the fourth of the chord gives you the same as the 1. Therefore, it's null. It does nothing. It has the same tonal value until you add the dominant 7th note. In the key of G, we have an F sharp as our T-do. So if we give it a ta-do, the F natural, that's what really diversifies it going back. Now, you definitely can have a G, and that works. However, we could do secondary dominants on secondary dominants. What does that mean? Well, let's pick another chord from the key of G. How about A? A, B, C, D, E. So if we play an E7, which would be here, we have an E major, and we can move that backwards to here. That's an E7, and then a G7, and then a C. We would have two secondary dominants in a row. There is no end to that. You quite literally could find a song that has only one natural note inside of a scale, and every single chord is a secondary dominant leading into something else. I know it sounds crazy, but the concept is there really is no rhyme and reason to music. The fact that you've made it this far with musical theory and your brain hasn't exploded is amazing. The concept we're really working on is how to get the vocabulary to discuss what we hear and want to hear and think we hear or see, you know, and then we try to explain that in terms to each other, and then we kind of digress and go, no, that's really important. What is important is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. When we solo, play over the 1, 2, 3, 5, and then the 6, and then the 1, right? And then if we ever hit a note outside that pocket, we could either blend it like bebop blues Dorian by moving through the flat 3 to the natural 3 and then continue. Or we could just use that pentatonic. When we do these pentatonics over the top, that one note variation that you might hit becomes a mode. So yeah, you... Long story short, when writing your progressions, you will find that a lot of stuff we talk about isn't even naturally found in a lot of music. But when you do find these things as caveats, you find that the bands you listen to that use these things, they're stellar. The bands are always great. They have great harmonies, great chord changes. I can name 100,000 bands off the top of my head. Just locally, Frank Zappa, Tom Petty, Kalapana, Dave Brubeck. We go through the list of all these secondary dominants. So in your quest, simply said, this week, write down a key signature. Let's say we're in the key of D. D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, and then back to D. When we do this kind of construct, pick 3 or 4 chords, and then before each one of those chords, try and make a secondary dominant. 4 chords is your progression, so whatever they are, and then try and put... Feel great, so try another secondary dominant. Go through the process of hearing what they could possibly be. What happens is the more we use this special functionality, the more our brain just goes, oh, an A7 sounds wonderful before a D minor. And when we play a G major and we want to go, let's say, to a D, D, E, F, G, A, an A7 sounds great in front of a D major. Doesn't matter about tonality when it comes to major and minor. We're just talking about in relativity to the 1, the tonic, and the 5, the dominant. The process of which we're talking about is called the tonification of the root. So when we take any note outside of our major 7 diatonic string of notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, we find ourselves being able to utilize positions from other scales in the modes and motifs we're using while playing in normal progressions. So start off slow, pick a key in no, and try like for a 4-chord progression, and then try to throw a couple secondary dominants in there. Don't go over the top. We'll discuss all this next week, and I'll see you then. Aloha.